Good evening. Thank you very much. You may be seated. You may be seated. Thank you very much. It's an honor to have so many people here in the East Room this evening from NASA. NASA has held a very special place in my heart. I've been a longtime fan of the space program since I was a child back in Dallas. Remember the moon landing? Talk about it a lot when I meet our next generation of explorers and leaders and talk about how that was a defining point in my life. But great to have all the NASA Washington staff here and some of the center folks here. Welcome to the People's House. Good to have everybody here. This evening we gather to honor the memory of a woman whose contributions shaped the course of history, not just here in the United States, but across the globe. Katherine Johnson was a mathematician, a trailblazer, and an inspiration to all who dream of a better, more equitable future. It is my great privilege to award the Presidential Citizens Medal posthumously to this extraordinary individual whose impact on science, space exploration, and society will echo throughout time. When Katherine Johnson was born in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia in 1918, she entered a world where the odds were stacked against her, a world that too often told African American women like her that their dreams didn't matter. But Katherine didn't just dream, she acted. From a very early age, she demonstrated an unrelenting curiosity, a love for numbers, and a gift for solving problems that even the most complex challenges could not deter. Her brilliance earned her a place at West Virginia State College, where she graduated summa cum laude at just 18 years old, with degrees in mathematics and French. But her journey was far from over. In a segregated world, opportunities for women like Katherine were painfully rare. Still, she found her way to the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. That was the agency that would later become NASA. And there she not only found her calling, but also made history. At NASA, Katherine Johnson's genius became indispensable. Her mathematical prowess was unmatched. She calculated the trajectory for Alan Shepard's historic flight as the first American in space. She worked on the orbital equations that made John Glenn's groundbreaking Earth orbit possible, so much so that Glenn himself insisted get the girl to check the numbers before he would agree to launch. And that, folks, from what I understand, is a true story. But Katherine didn't stop there. She contributed to the Apollo program, including the calculations that brought the Apollo 11 astronauts safely to the moon and back. She worked on the space shuttle program and even helped lay the groundwork for future Mars missions. Every equation she solved, every calculation she perfected was another step forward for humanity, a testament to the power of intelligence, precision, and teamwork. What makes Katherine Johnson's story even more remarkable is that her contributions were made in the face of systemic barriers. She worked in a segregated environment where she wasn't allowed to use the same restrooms or attend the same meetings as many of her colleagues. But she refused to let the injustices of her time hold her back. Instead, she showed the world that excellence knows no color, no gender, no limitation, other than the boundaries we impose on ourselves. Today, we recognize Katherine not just for her groundbreaking work in science and space exploration, but for what she represented: the triumph of talent over prejudice, the power of perseverance in the face of adversity, and the ability of one person to change the world. As we present this medal to her family, we remember the many ways Katherine Johnson's legacy continues to inspire us. She opened doors for women in STEM, for people of color, and for anyone who's ever been told that their dreams were too big or that their goals were out of reach. Catherine once said, I like to learn. That's an art and a science. Her life was a masterclass in both. She taught us that learning, questioning, and striving for excellence can propel us not just to the stars, but to a greater understanding of ourselves and each other. The Presidential Citizens Medal is one of our nation's highest civilian honors, awarded to those who have made extraordinary contributions to our country. Katherine Johnson not only helped us chart new frontiers in space, but she also charted a course toward a more just and equitable society. To Katherine's families who's with us here today, we extend our deepest gratitude for sharing her with the world. Her courage, intellect, and humanity have left an indelible mark on our nation. Catherine may no longer be with us, but her legacy lives on in every young girl who dreams of becoming a scientist, every student who dares to reach beyond the stars, and every American who believes in the boldness possibilities of hard work and determination. May Katherine Johnson's story remind us all that the barriers of today are not the limits of tomorrow, and that the path forward is brighter when we walk together. Thank you, Catherine, for inspiring us. Thank you for showing us what's possible. And I just want to end with this. You know, Catherine's story is one of many stories. And I've told this story a few times, and some of you guys who follow me have heard this before. But another role model that had a great inspiration on a young lady, when she was actually told by some boys in her high school class that she couldn't make it to MIT, that she didn't have the grades to make it to MIT. Well, she made it to MIT, and she majored in polymer chemistry. Now, I know nothing about chemistry other than what you learned, definitely not polymer chemistry, and I've had a discussion with her, and I could talk space. I can talk that, but to talk polymer chemistry with her is a science beyond itself. But here's the story. While she was at MIT, she had a chance to meet Sally Ride, who is America's first woman in space. And this particular individual sat there and said, you know what? I can do that job. And just a few years later, Kathryn Kuhlman became an astronaut in Houston, Texas. And for about 15 years, she flew 3 missions, 2 space shuttle missions, and a mission to the International Space Station. She had an inspiration. She had a role model. Katherine Johnson had an inspiration, and she is an inspiration to many people, even still today. The men and women at NASA are inspirations to every person. And it's so important. It's so important for us to get this next generation molded, because it's them that are going to make those giant leaps for mankind, to make those steps that go far beyond our galaxy, and to make those first steps on Mars. It's them. And so we owe it to them to get them ready. May God bless you. May God bless Katherine Johnson, her family, and may God bless the United States of America, and may He protect our troops. Now, if the officer would read the citation for this medal.